A lot of people like talking about how their money can grow rather than death.
We had you on a couple of weeks ago just to touch briefly about a new lead campaign that you were hopping on. So why don't you share with us your general thoughts about it so far?
Yeah, so far.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm joined in studio this week. Victor Rodriguez, my man.
Hey.
Pleasure meeting you.
With a fresh cut coming in to join us. We got John Bacaron co-hosting.
How you doing?
We got a couple remote guests, but before I get into that, we actually have a big discount coming up.
Yep. 80%, right?
80%. So you just all the exact details.
It's a warehouse sale.
It's like everything must go.
Right.
Yeah. It's a crazy Gideon sale. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
So we got gold, silver, and bronze leads off of the ILC, the Integrity Lead Center. Yeah, gold, silver, and bronze, which means they're age leads, but they're internet generated leads. Life leads are 80% off. That's right. I said 80% off. So the cost per lead is going to be 60 cents, 30 cents, and 15 cents respectively.
That's crazy.
Right. Never seen that before, right?
Right.
Really good for a good brand new agent as well.
Good for brand new agents, medium length agents, long time veteran agents. I mean, whatever it is, whatever it is. I mean, like that's stupid. That's like a stupid price. So, I mean, if you guys want to load up your inventory, go on the IC starting tomorrow. The code is SWIM23. So the whole reason for this is, Sean Mike is trying to ramp everybody up to have an opportunity to qualify for the cruise. In order for us to be able to do that, you got to talk to enough people. So the thing is, regardless of whatever the lead type is, if they're that cheap, I mean, stock up.
Right.
Okay. You can't say it's not within your budget. It's really whether or not you're really committing to yourself or not to committing to your business at this point. So load up for as much as you can. Let's get the activity up. And for all those people that filled in a request, there's people out there that need help.
Right.
Yeah, John and I just did a Q&A earlier, and we had Solomon on. Yes, he asked a question. What did he talk about?
Yeah, so he had a client, and he had somebody filled out information, 53-year-old, and he did actually have life insurance, but he filled out a request. So he was lost. He was looking for things. Then he just, Solomon kept the conversation going.
He tried to blow Solomon off initially.
Right. Kept it going. What are you looking for? What do you need? And he started talking about, what am I doing for my retirement? I'm thinking about, what could I do? How can I make my money last longer? What happens after I get off of work? All these things that was brought up.
Right. So the thing is, people didn't fill it out for no reason. I mean, they may have forgot that they filled it out. You may have caught them at a bad time. They said they're not interested, or they already got it taken care of. But why did they take the time to actually fill it out? So our advice was keep the conversation going. Ask some questions. Ask some probing questions. Just be like, well, why did you fill this out? What was the biggest priority you wanted to cover? Whatever it may be, but just try to at least figure out how you can help them. And at the very least, even if you can't help them, figure out why they're filling this out.
Yeah.
Because it'll help you with the future calls that you make.
Yeah. To add to that, I have a good experience on working age leads. They're age leads for a reason, right? So age leads means they might have filled it out from 15 days ago to 30 days ago to 2 to 3 months ago. But it doesn't really matter. This is where it's the highest return of investment when you get a sale from this age lead, because they're 60 cents, right? How many leads can you get for 200 leads? How much does that cost? Less than $100-$200. Right. So how much money do we make off of one sale? So you get 200 at bats to make one sale, and you're profiting 2 to 3 times from your investment.
True.
Now, what do you got to do to it? You got to put in the work. You got to dial these 200 at bats. You got
to make the calls.
You got to swing and swing and swing. And this is where our conversation comes in. How much conversation are you going to have from them? You're going to get blown off. Okay. You only need to sell 1 out of 200. You're going to get struck out 199 at a time. But this is where you find out, okay, did they take care of their life insurance? Are they looking to compare? Are they looking to replace? Are they're looking for more, right? Maybe they took care of their life insurance for their family member, but is the spouse covered? Are the kids covered? Even if you sell like Mutual of Omaha Children's Whole Life, a $10 sale, you're in the money.
Yep.
And then now you have a potential client, future sales, possible annuities. Anything can happen from there.
Right.
And the key to making these calls too is not just, hey, I'm gonna call through all these people. You got to call through all these people, each one sequentially as if they're brand new.
Right.
So the thing is, let's say the first one or two people you talk to, they tell you to go F off. They tell you to go to hell. They hang up on you, whatever it is. And then you're like, it's so unfair. And then you carry that negativity into the next call. I guarantee you, your level of productivity and your level of effectiveness will continuously wane because you're carrying that same energy into those next ones. So if you continue to call, I mean, just treat it like a brand new, like just have selective memory, leave the past one out if it wasn't a good experience, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, use your enthusiasm too. You know, don't feel like because the last client beat you up, you're going to carry that over to your conversation. Right. And you're like, oh, you didn't fill this out. Okay, next. You know, give them an effort, you know, put in the effort, put in the try of like helping these clients out, aside from you making money from it.
You've had people tell you to F off and
all the time. Yeah, all the time. But what I was going to touch on is kind of like this saying where it says your attitude is your altitude. So one thing that I've noticed when I'm making these phone calls is I try to focus on the positives of the. Because sometimes I've gone into some calls with a negative mindset where it's like, oh, they're not going to answer. And next you know, nobody answers. But I've also gone with the mindset of everybody's going to answer today. And maybe not everybody answers, but you know what? 2, 3 do answer, close 1 or 2. And like John said, all you need is that one sale to make your profit back. So I think energy has a lot to do with it. You know, what you attract. How are you going into these calls? What's your mindset? And if you really just got to take 10 minutes to yourself, you know, breathe in, breathe out, regroup, and go back to those calls.
There's definitely a law of attraction. It's definitely in play anytime that we do anything on a continuous basis, because, you know, they're going to respond how you respond.
Right. Yeah. And another thing, you know, if they do have their insurance, don't miss out on the referral there. Hey, I'm glad you're well protected. By the way, who do you know that might benefit from this information that we provide here? I think that's, you know, fall short on the referral.
Yeah. So it's like, even if they tell you to F off, just be like, all right, now that you want me to F off, do you know anyone else that doesn't want me to F off?
Right. Make something
happen, carry that energy.
Right. What were you saying? So speaking on that too, like for the people that do carry on that baggage, you know, they're yelling at you, they're telling you to F off. What did you say? You felt bad for them, or you kind of felt for them?
Yeah, I was talking to Trent yesterday. So he sent the text out to a client because he's been trying to reach him, and then this guy said, "Is like, why don't you go F yourself, you mother effer, blah blah blah," and then they said like, have a good day, go F yourself. And then like, I was like, boy, this guy was like upset. So then Trent replies back and he's like, wow, 3 F words in one paragraph. He's like, you must be going through something. Sorry to hear about that. Just trying to do my job. Have a nice day. And then the guy actually replied back and he's like, all right, you're right. He's like, I took it a little too far. I mean, he's like, right. I'm going through some stuff. I shouldn't have been like that. So I don't know. You catch people at different moods and throughout the day, and sometimes it's just bad timing. Sometimes they've been hit up by a bunch of other telemarketers and they just lump you in with as if they're thinking you're the same person. But I mean, like whenever that happens, whenever people tell me to F off, which it's happened, you know, not too much in my personal life, you know. Right. I won't say never, but hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, anything to help support the algorithm so we can continue to bring you more valuable content and continue to be part of your lives. Also, if you don't feel that it's providing you that much support since you're already at this point, like and subscribe anyway. But you know, like when it comes to stuff like this, I never take it personally. It's always like, okay, wow, I kind of feel a little compassion for them because they must be going through something really, really bad, or to get them to like react that way, because it's not a normal response. Right. So it's like, who hurt you? Like what happened? Like what's going through in your life where you need to react this way? And I think sometimes if we react a certain way, maybe we can try to get them to calm down and just talk to us. But you know, then again, when those other ones, sometimes you got to know when it's time to move on. Like if you have enough leads, you should definitely move on, because you got other people that you may not need to deal with all this stuff.
But I can feel for it though, because I've been in the field. I've gone and seen these clients. I've seen, you know, H leads. I've seen, you know, ILC leads. And while presenting, kid you not, they were getting like 10 phone calls for the same thing. over and over. They're getting Medicare calls. They're getting like solicitation for solar. They're getting another person on the other line saying, "Hey, we're here for the government help." Then, the normal agents, VAs, and assistants calling and booking an appointment for them. I'm like, man, I can't even do my presentation because there's like 5 calls coming in. So I feel it, but at the same time, understand if you're not getting the pickups, it's not you. It's because of them. They're getting 10 bombarded calls from someone else. So you do have to keep trying until they finally have that peace of mind, or they felt like, "What is this? Maybe this is important." They do pick up, and that's your conversation right there.
Yeah. So like John said, remember, it's not your fault. It's their fault for filling out so much stuff online.
They're retargeted clients. It's true.
Yeah, they did it to themselves.
That's right. You're just doing your job.
Yeah.
But moving on, Luis, are you on here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So we got Luis Aldrete, joining us. What city are you in? Or are you from?
Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Hey,
Okay.
LBC.
Down the street.
So Luis and I, we actually got on a presentation with a client yesterday that we were able to help out with his retirement and get him set up with Luis's first annuity sale. Good job, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just for all the new people watching, or people that think annuities may be really complicated, don't even know where to start, walk us from the beginning. How did you come in contact with this client? How did you find about this money? How did you find out about annuities in general?
Well, he was just a referral. So he eventually came in looking for life insurance, which we're still going to try to do at the end of the day also. Right. But then we started talking more about other things that he wanted for work on his retirement, things like that. So, and then I ended up finding out that he had an IRA that was just sitting there. And I was like, well, why don't we put the IRA into an entity that way, help that retirement fund grow a little bit more than it is, because he was just sitting there not doing anything. So
how much did you know about annuities going into the process?
Not much. Very little. As soon as we started working into that, I started Carlos is the one, he's the one that told me to contact you.
Yep. That
you're the guy to talk to about the entities. So I went from there. Right away I started doing the training. I did what I had to do, and then I just went over there.
Did you do the annuity training prior to me telling you to, or I don't remember the timeline exactly?
No. I did it once you told me, then I started going through the whole process at the same time that I was talking to him.
Okay. Yeah. So just to recap for everybody, Carlos Urizada, shout out my man.
Carlos.
So he brought in Luis into the business. He put us on a group text and said like, "Hey, I think Luis found a guy that has money from it sitting in an IRA. Can we do anything about it?" Or he said, he has a 401k or something. And I was like, "Hey, Luis, good to meet you." I'm like, "I'm sure I'd love to help you out. Are you contracted with Athene, first of all? And then have you done the state annuity training? And then have you done the products trainings?" And he says, and much to Luis's credit, he was like, "No, I haven't done anything, but I'll do that right away." Plenty of people tell me that they never go through the training, and I never hear from them again. Right. So that's the first step. He actually took it seriously. He went through, completed everything, and then he got back to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm done with all the training. I'm contracted with Athene now." And I'm like, "Good. Perfect. All right, cool." Now I'm like, send you these questions, go back to your client, ask them, "Hey, generally, what do you want to do with your retirement? When you anticipate needing this money? How much other retirement products do you have?" So we kind of get an idea which product to go with. Luis went back and asked, collected the amount, came back with the information. I put together an illustration, and then I was just like, "When are you and the client free?" And then from that point, he set the appointment. He said, "Hey, here's what time he's free. When are you available?" And then we set something up, and then we led to last night's appointment.
Closed the deal that day.
It's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. Presented him. Albert, he helped me out present that the illustration. Went through it. He answered all the questions. And the guy didn't say no. He was convinced. He knew that's where it had to be. His money wasn't doing nothing. He saw the growth in it, and we went from there.
Okay. Well, and just to be perfectly honest, I kind of forgot about the appointment. Because I started doing something. I was doing some other stuff, and then And I was at home, but I was working out in the yard and taking care of some stuff. And then you shot me a text and you're like, "Hey, I'm at the appointment now." I'm like, "Oh," and I dropped everything and I ran inside, put on the earpiece, and then just hopped on the laptop. But being that this is your first annuity and self-admittedly, you didn't know very much about annuities. Can you walk us through the process? So I gave you a call and I said, "Hey, are you with the client?" What happened from there?
So we sat down. I was with the client. I took my tablet. I was right there. Albert sent me the illustration and through email, and we just sat down. Albert presented it. We went through each page, talked about the lows, the highs, and yeah. The guy, he asked a couple questions. Albert was able to help him out with the question. And yeah, I was just pretty much sitting there, just observing, learning, seeing how Albert was presenting it. That way, next time I can do a little bit more. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot harder. But no, like they say, you just have to go out there and just do the work. And eventually you'll start seeing everything kind of clicking together as you start going through it and starts making sense. The application, it was a little hard doing at first because it was my first one. But same thing, I was shooting Albert text messages like, "Hey, what should I put here? What can I put here?" He helped me out. Within an hour or so, I was out of there and closed the deal.
I got a question for you.
Go for it.
So when you were doing the application, since you're in the Albert's team, did Albert take a cut?
No.
This is a free service for everyone in our team, guys. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
No, it was all help. It was all help.
And then from the time frame, then from the first time you're speaking to the client to getting set up with a presentation, and then you getting your background of like Athene, product training, and Athene hours of CE, how long did that take from the initial time frame to finally closing the sale?
So once I think I contacted Albert, it was towards the beginning of July. And then I believe by July 12th, I was already done with all the training and everything.
How long did it take for Athene for your writing number from Athene to come in from the time you started, you requested the appointment?
So once I did the training, it took maybe like 2-3 days.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe like 2 days. Yeah, it was pretty quick. Yeah.
Good to know. Because so the thing about Athene is, if for all of you agents that are out there being like, "Hey, what if an annuity opportunity comes up? I don't want to miss out on it. Can I get contracted now?" They want you to have business before you get contracted. Because the thing is, if you have no production for a year, they terminate.
Right.
Because it costs. So we understand why the carriers are doing it. It's not because they're just being a bunch of meanies.
It's appointment fees.
They're appointment fees. So it costs them money to keep you appointed because they're paying for the state appointment fee with the Department of Insurance. So it costs them money. And if you're not productive, I mean, as running a business, it wouldn't make sense for anyone to keep you.
Right.
But if you're actively working, that's fine. But the thing is, they recognize, look, if you have business that you're about to write and need it, you can get contracted then.
Luis, I have a question for you. I know you mentioned this was a referral. Was this like a family referral, or was this a coworker? How did you get that?
It was a coworker.
Coworker.
Yeah.
Now, was this something that maybe you brought up as a conversation to someone else, and this person said, "Hey, you know what? I actually know somebody," or was this a coworker that you spoke to directly?
I spoke to him directly.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
like I said, we were talking about life insurance first. And then that's when he said he wanted to see what he can do with his retirement also. So, and then that's when I brought up the idea of the Onity, and he kind of did his own research, looked into it, and then he shot me a text back, and he's like, "All right, I want to look into it a little bit more." Once he told me that, that's when I started hitting up Carlos up.
Yeah.
Well, what can I do next so I can start going forward and making this happen? And then I went from there.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty smooth. I thought it was going to be a lot harder, but no, it was pretty smooth transitions from the beginning. The whole process just went pretty quick.
Right.
Nice.
So was there any doubt? Because I remember when you told me, "Hey, the client's free this time," and I said, "Oh, it's at this time, this day." I'm like, "Well, I can't. I don't think I can physically go out to the appointment, even though it's somewhat local. It's not too far from the office here, right?"
Yeah, because we were in the appointment was in Southgate.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, down the
So-
street from where I live.
Hey,
So
Should have called me. I would have went. I'm kidding.
you
But-
learned a new
Right.
illustration earlier.
Let me get contracted for. No.
So when I told you, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can make it physically, but it'll be fine because I've done plenty of these. I'm like, just if you're planning to go in person, just as soon as you get in there, set the table and then call me on speakerphone, and then I will walk you through the rest. I mean, did you think it was going to be more complicated because I wasn't physically there?
No, I at first, well, I was kind of like, well, when you first didn't answer, I was like, oh man, I'm already here. What am I gonna do now? And then I was like, but once you told me, yo, you're free. I was in there. I was talking to him for a bit. I set everything up. Once that phone call came through, it was just smooth sailing from there. It wasn't too hard. It wasn't hard at all.
Now, Luis, think about all the referrals that are going to come because he's going to talk to the other coworkers too.
Yeah. Other coworkers, yeah. His brother-in-law, he already told me he's gonna talk to his brother-in-law about
There
it.
it
So
is.
I'm gonna go talk to his brother-in-law soon. Hopefully get that going also.
That's awesome.
So what was the biggest takeaway from annuity in general? Like, what do you think you've learned, and how quickly do you think you'll be able to do this presentation yourself?
Well, it was a lot going on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard at the same time trying to take notes and trying to make sure, because you don't want to show the client, that kind of, the you're new. So I was taking just a lot of mental notes. I was taking notes on my phone a little bit. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's all good because the thing is, I'll still be available. I mean, I just wanted to see because I mean, I think this is the easiest way to learn because you can watch a bunch of videos. You can.
Right.
The key is to get out there and actually just do it. And then I think for a lot of people that I've helped along the way, when I did the presentation afterwards, they're like, "That was actually pretty simple. I think I can do it myself going forward." And I'm like, "Cool. That's actually what I want to hear." I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
you
more
made
than
it
happy to
seem
help.
too. You made it seem too easy. I was like, oh man, I was like, all right, I think I could do this. But yeah, I think I would take a couple more, maybe like 2-3 more presentations, and then I think I could probably handle it after that by myself.
How long was that presentation when Albert presented the whole illustration?
It was like no more than 35 minutes. It was pretty quick.
That's good.
That's actually longer than the normal for a presentation for me, but because typically it's just we get into it. Then I set up the. I mean, he had a decent amount of questions actually, so that's
he had questions. Yeah,
but normally I just run through the presentation, make sure they understand it, and I kick it over to the agent to do the application, and that's it. We're golden. But yeah, I'm glad you got your first experience. I mean, it's always really exciting for me to see when someone that has never done annuities, knows nothing about it, gets just finds the right opportunity and then asks for help, and then boom, there you are, made your first annuity sale.
That's how it was. Yeah, it was pretty easy because I was like, oh, I'm gonna stick to doing final expenses, IULs. Well, and then this opportunity came, and I was like, well, let me take it. I'm not gonna learn no other way, so
there you go.
The best way to do it is doing it. Learn as you go.
Right. Yeah. So what would be your advice to any agent out there that hasn't done annuities yet, and then they come across this money, but then they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Well, how would you? What would you tell them?
Yeah, call Albert.
Call Big Al.
He's the guy to go to. No, I would say just tackle it. Just go for it. Even if you don't know, there's gonna be help. I figured this out that there's always people in here that are willing to help no matter what.
Yeah.
So and they don't try to take advantage of you. So that's the best thing. Ask for help and just tackle it. Best way to do it. You're not gonna learn if you just run away from it. So might as well just tackle it head on, go straight forward, and just do it.
Yeah. If I could add something for anybody else that hasn't done an annuity, you're missing out on a lot of possible referrals if you don't know how to explain it on the basic level, right? So if Luis was able to explain it to his coworker, and now his coworker can explain it to other coworkers, he's going to get more sales.
Absolutely.
Right. So I would suggest you learn the basics of how to explain how it's going to save money to the client and be able to explain to your spouse or a friend, your mom, your brother, if you can explain it to your immediate family how it's going to save people in their circle, now they can refer you people, right? Like if I can explain that to somebody, like my wife just left her job. She had people that left her job. Well, I converted hers to an annuity. It was a small amount, but now she can say like, hey, this is what I did with my old 401k. Now, if you got people that's, leaving their jobs, switching over to new jobs, like for example, like nurses, they switch to a new hospital. Well, what are they doing with their old 401k at that hospital? Someone's going to roll that over. But if you have a friend or a family member that told them about, hey, John kind of knows annuities, talk to him. Albert knows something, talk to him. Right.
And if I can kind of piggyback from that, what I've learned as well is a lot of people like talking about how their money can grow rather than death. So if you can use that as a way in the door, hey, by the way, we do annuities. We could teach you how to save money for the future. People are more open to that as well.
Because they're not
losing
anything.
Next thing you know, you throw in, hey, by the way, do you have life insurance? Let me show you how to create generational wealth. God forbid if you pass away.
Plus, if you just think about the psychology of a buyer, the thing is, the great thing about an annuity sale is typically with a life insurance sale, you got to be like, hey, here's the benefit. Here's how it works. Here's how it's going to help you. Here's how to improve your situation. Here's how much it costs you every month going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for them, there's like, I see all that, but I don't want to pay this money every single month. I don't want to come out of my account. I don't want to go through the physical pain of like making that payment. Whereas like when it comes to the annuity, it's money they already have sitting in something else. And like, why don't we just move that from there to here? And here's how it benefits you in a different way. And we'll walk through those. And on top of that, you get an 11% bonus with that product that we gave them. So it's a win-win situation. So
Instant growth.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing. I know you got a busy schedule. So let's
Thank
continue
you.
to work on
Thank you
these.
for having me.
Yeah, let's get some more, my man.
Good job,
Yeah,
Luis.
for sure. Yeah. Won't stop. Keep going.
All right, my man. All right. So that's always like a really cool. It's one of my favorite parts of the job, just getting someone new to start making some money in a different way that they've never done before.
Man, that's awesome, man.
It takes you back as well as a new agent, because we were all there in that position, Luis. We're kind of like, oh, damn, I don't know about this, but I'm still going to do it. There's a little fear. I'm incompetent, but knowing that you got a team around you that's always willing to help, that's huge. Yeah,
no, that's totally true. Because the thing is, when I first started, when we started here, I've never done any annuities.
Yeah.
And then I remember I went to a couple sales conventions and sales conferences. And then we went to, and I heard Sean Ruggiero.
Man, his training was nuts.
His training.
He went on. Here's the SPIA. Here's the MIGA. Here's 10-pay. Here's Flexman. What?
Everything went
so
over
much
my head.
information.
Yeah.
Everything went over my head. And then I asked Jack some questions. Jack, I asked him, I'm like, hey, how do annuities work? So he just said, he ran off some like pretty basic lines, and because you touched on that. How do you introduce this idea to other people? And then like, there's certain things that he said, I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of smart. I'm like, I'm going to repeat that because it sounds smart. So then I go and tell people that, and then like, I have no idea what the hell that means, but I'm just repeating, I'm parroting whatever I learned from these, like say sales conferences. And then it got people to get interested. They're like, oh, how does that work? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I don't have time right now, but let me get down your information. I want to bring it back to my safe money retirement department or my simple retirement solutions department now, which is what it's called now. Yeah. And I'll we'll get together. We'll run in some illustrations, and I'll come back next week. We'll get a chance to go over this together. And then if I'm able to help you with that, then we'll see if we can get you approved. Right. Just kept it simple because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's the key, is just keeping it simple, just knowing a little bit of something.
Right.
Hey, you know what? That's a great question. Matter of fact, I don't have the answer to that, but let me call somebody that does. And you'll see that clients actually appreciate that because they see that you're genuinely there to help them, and you're looking for an answer to their problem. So that's the way I would look at it as a new agent. I never saw it as I was incompetent or that I needed to know everything. I just needed to know enough to get them interested. And if they had a question that I didn't know the answer to, I would call somebody like Albert and put them on the line.
And that adds up to your knowledge too now, because now you understood the basics. Something complicated came up. Now you upgraded your knowledge.
Right, because you're going to find out that everybody has the same questions.
Yeah.
And then you've seen how Albert tackled that question, or how he answered it. So when the next client comes on board, they ask the same question. You're like, oh, I know the answer to this. I seen how Albert answered it.
Well, since we're on that topic, I mean, you actually have done that with a couple IUL.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess for a lot of people when they're brand new, or if they haven't asked for help before, they're just thinking, well, I don't want my client to think I don't know what I'm talking about, because it hurts my credibility.
Right.
And then they won't want to do business with me, where it's actually quite the opposite.
Right. Yeah. I've man, take it from me. I'm never afraid to ask for help. I've never looked at it as anything negative or me being incompetent. I've always seen it as just a learning experience, and let's do what's right to the client. So, hey, Mr. Client, you're interested in this product. Matter of fact, that's a great product. But so this is the way I would answer it. This is how I started actually. Hey, that's actually a great product. Now, those products are a little more advanced, and I'm gonna put my my supervisor on the line here who knows how to structure those programs, because I want to make sure that we do what's right by you. And people say, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Perfect. I call Albert, 3-way line. Let's do it. Yeah. Done. Yeah. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I think a lot of people sometimes are afraid to ask for help because they don't want to seem like they're incompetent or they don't know. That's the biggest way to learn, is asking for that help and learning on the job too. So
yeah,
that's my experience.
No, it's good utilization of the resources around you.
Yeah, 100%.
So we got plenty more to ask you, Victor, but let's well, Jason, are you on? Can you unmute real quick?
How we doing?
We are blessed.
Kobe Bryant, let's go.
Come on now. Come on.
So we had you on a couple of weeks ago just to touch briefly about a new lead campaign that you were hopping on.
Yeah.
You and I, along with Trent, along with John, we've had multiple conversations prior to you actually committing to that. So for anyone that was anyone on here watching that thought about, oh, hey, that sounded pretty good, but I'm not sure if I want to commit yet. Just remember, it took Jason a little bit. John actually got into it too, but it took him. You kind of wanted to wait and see a little bit too, before he actually got started, or maybe
see some success
stuff
first.
Yeah. But so you're 3 weeks into the program?
Yeah, just about a full month now.
Almost full month. So
yeah.
So why don't you share with us your general thoughts about it so far?
Yeah, so far it's been great. Like the lead flow, the first week or two, kind of a roller coaster. Like some days I'd get a handful, and then the next day I'd get 20. You know what I mean? So it was kind of a roller coaster. And then I got a little nervous on the days I'd just get a couple. And then I would talk to him every day. And he was just reiterating the fact that it takes a while to get into the algorithm and whatnot. Yeah. So once you hit a month plus, that's when it'll really take off. And I've noticed that. I've noticed that a lot. And with this, I mean, it's the most I've ever paid up front for leads by far, which is scary to me. But it's one of those things, if you do it, you're committing to yourself. Like once you do that, you're not going to do it and then quit. You have no option. So it's one of those things. I wake up every day, I got leads. I don't have set appointments, but I got leads. I have fresh leads that I'm going to be calling, and it's been great. There's a learning curve to it for sure. You're selling the same stuff, but it's a completely different client talking to vets. And you're just not talking to, I don't know, final expense sales. There's still final expense sales, but it's not the typical person that I've been talking to lately. But overall, it's been great. It's been great. Just challenging myself to hit certain goals, primarily that Kobe goal of 24. That's still my goal. Yeah. So anyway, it's been great. It's been good.
Good to hear. So as far as the ups and downs, and our guy Andrew Kasperwitz is the one setting up the campaign for you. So at the ups and downs, I mean, did he prepare you that's what's going to happen at the beginning before it takes some time, or did it catch you off guard entirely?
No, he definitely, he was upfront with me 100%. He let me know about when to start expecting the leads, and they actually came in sooner than he told me. Like I was expecting it to be a few days after the ad went live. And then I literally I got my first one within an hour. I only got one that day, but still, like that was kind of wild to me. And then he set me up with a script and whatnot to say. I don't use the whole thing verbatim, but I do use the introduction just to get it rolling. Right. And I mean, everybody that's picked up the phone has known what I'm calling about. You know what I mean? Like some people, they do think it's something else, but they know exactly what form I'm referencing. And
they remember filling it out.
Yeah. And that's refreshing to me. And then kind of a learning curve that I've talked to Andrew and Will Boning. I might have said his last name wrong, but he's doing the same thing. Like we're bouncing ideas off of like when to call these people right away, wait a little bit, wait a day, whatever, trying different things, right? Because initially I was calling them as soon as they were coming hot off the press and getting negative feedback. Like they don't want to be bombarded right away. But then I found like even waiting an hour and a half at most, like that's when I get the best results. You know, they're more receptive, they're more open to the idea to talk, you know.
Right. And plus, isn't it a very empowering feeling? Because before you're always like, we would have conversations from time to time. You're like, where should I put my money into? What type of lead should I buy? And then it's like, it's a lot of energy that we need to consume to like to put into thinking about that.
You're thinking about it on Saturday, then it's coming up on Sunday, then you finally pull the trigger on Monday. All these things happen, right?
Plus, on top of that, then you got to buy a known quantity. So like you have he's like, I have $1,000 for leads. It'll buy me 30 leads, it'll buy me 80 leads, or buy me whatever. And it's finite. So by the time you're done with those, as you're calling through, you're like, all right, got 10 left. I got to make something happen. 5 left. I got to make something happen. And then it's like a backwards countdown to, you know, till your resources are depleted. Mm-hmm. And with this, I mean, we're on live dials, and sometimes you're like this person sounds crazy, blah blah blah, and we're like, well, but the beautiful thing about a lead campaign like this is, you know, the leads will continue to come in, so you're operating from a position of strength, so that you're able to be like, all right, well, I don't want to waste too much time on this. Next.
Exactly. Like I would always get jealous of Terrence watching him talk. Like if somebody would give him negative feedback or not care, whatever, like he's, how you doing? Keep it moving mentality. Right. And like he would just say, all right, I'll put on that. I couldn't help you. And then he like basically hangs up on them. I'm just like, what? Because in my old mentality is like, oh crap. Like you were saying, my lead flow is depleting. I need to get a sale. He knows. And now I'm getting in the same boat. Like I know I got more leads to call. You know?
It's funny because going back to Terrence earlier, I was listening to him. He wasn't mad, but he was just funny. It's like, man, if they don't want to buy it, man, we got other people to sell. It's like going to like a Starbucks. Do you think about, you're right in front of the drive-thru and you're saying, sell me on this coffee? No, man, get out of here. I got the next person in. And this is what he legit said. He said, I'm mad. I gave him 4 minutes.
That's true, though. That's, you know, and, sorry about that. That's a mindset I've been trying to adapt myself, because sometimes I catch myself in that mentality, like, oh man, I got 5 leads left. I haven't closed anything. And you kind of find yourself a little in that desperate mode. But if you have that Terrence mindset, it's like, yo, there's somebody out here that wants what I do, and I'm investing my time into the wrong person right now that doesn't want it. Maybe not now. Maybe they do want it, but not right now. That I could be dedicating that time to someone else or making more calls. So that's something that me personally, where I was like, I got to work on that and value my time more and talk to the right people that want to actually move forward with this product here.
Right. Yeah, without a doubt. And like earlier this week, I haven't written a ton, but the 2 sales I had in low AP, we're talking like not even a family total. But these ladies were in tears, grateful we're able to get them coverage. And it just makes you feel so good. And like we were saying, there's somebody else on the list or going to be on the list who wants your help. Right. And it puts you in that position of, it takes the commission breath out of it, knowing you have more people to contact. And it's amazing. And going back to Terrence, like he won't even really mess around with them. Hey, call me back sometime on Sunday. Like, hey man, I got 1,000 people I got to call. I don't have time to chase you around. And then it puts them like, oh, okay, well, let's just do it right now. You know what I mean? It puts you in that position of power. It just takes that stress off of where my leads are going to come from. Who am I going to call? What file can I look back? Whose policy lapse and all that? You can still do all that, but that's not going to be your main source of income. That well is going to run dry. And this has just taken so much pressure off of my lead source that I'm falling asleep at night. Like, who am I going to call tomorrow? I don't know, but I'm going to have a spreadsheet full of people I can call, you know, and it's amazing.
Yeah, just takes all the thinking out. And you definitely are carrying yourself with a different energy now these days.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was just telling Jason about his production. Of course, if you guys don't know, he's number 4 in the company right now in our agency. Right. His production shot up, and it's only been 3 to almost 4 weeks, right? And I was saying to our group, like, Jason, did you magically learn a higher sales skill right now? Did you become the number 1 salesperson? Nothing changed in your skill. You're still talking the same. You're still presenting the same. It's just you have more at bats now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, and one thing I did commit, like I haven't taken a full day off this month. And that's one thing that I told myself, if I do this, I'm going to do it. Right. And it's just a commitment piece, and just, you got to keep working, and I'm definitely not better. And I still, like, I'm excited to see where it can go, because it is a different client. And like, yeah, I feel like I can be more myself with these people because I grew up in a military family, so a lot of these people are currently right now living in the South or Midwest. So I can really up the draw a little bit, and like, yeah, you know what I mean? So but it's good. It's good. These are my people.
Yeah, there you go. You're working to your, advantage.
Right. But Darren White's the master.
Oh man, Darren, number one, number two right now, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, just to touch on something that you guys were talking about with Terrence. I mean, look, when you guys we're all as confident as the options that we have available to us, at our disposal. And then the options that we have to our disposal is entirely predicated on decisions that we make. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So if you just make the decision, like, I'm going to commit to this or commit to that, which you're really committing to yourself. If you can do that, then the thing is your resources start opening up. And then at that point, then you start carrying yourself differently because you're no longer working from a position of need. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's the key. I mean, like with Terrence, I love listening to his calls because sometimes, we all get the same type of objections generally. So then, like, we're listening to his call, then the client starts like giving some BS thing, like, well, I would except, the thing is, like, I thought would, and then Terrence is just like, all right, have a blessed day. And then he hangs up. So it's like, there you go.
Call me when you're ready.
That's power. That's how you end up loving your job. Cause like, you're not doing things that you don't necessarily want to do. Cause Terrence recognizes it. He's a grateful guy. He has a lot of gratitude in his life. Yes. He recognizes how many more people that he can go out and help if he doesn't waste his time on this person that's not serious.
Yeah, for sure. And on the live dials, like, I still can't. I feel like the number of people on there has kind of dwindled a bit, but I can't encourage, if you're new, like, get on there. Like, hearing Terrence talk, hearing JP, he's always on, like, just hearing different people's approaches and just knowing that they're getting the same dadgum rebuttals that you're getting. It helps you, how to bounce it back and kind of turn the phone call around or something, because we're all hearing the same things. There's no way you're making a bunch of phone calls and getting different rebuttals that Terrence or JP or myself are getting. There's no way. Right. So it helps you so much just hearing the same thing over and over again. And then you soak it in. And it helps you tremendously. So get on that thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a new agent that actually brought up John because he was like, I wasn't able to be on the live dials at the time, and he's on, I'm on live dials learning about objections. He's like, your buddy that's on the podcast, that's always on your podcast, he's giving a course on objections right now. So I was like, that's cool.
I was.
Yeah.
I was getting beat up probably.
That's still.
But teaching. It's encouraging. Like, no offense, John, but like if you see John get beat up on the phones, that's encouraging. Because like, okay, if it's happening to him, he's been in the game for a minute, right? So it's like, if it's happening to him, don't feel bad if it happens to you.
Yeah, I think yesterday I had a conversation with the guys like, yeah, I'm not giving you my bank account. I'm not giving you my social. Well, that's that. I'm just telling client, I can't proceed with the application. I don't know how I can help you when we can't do an application.
Right.
All right. So Jason, answer honestly. Who do you feel better about if you hear John get beat up on live dials or you hear me get beat up on dials?
Oh, man. That's 1A. That's 1A, 1B. I plead the fifth.
I was good with either answer, but
it's funny when someone's watching and they're listening to me and I know I'm getting beat up. I'm just doing this. This is not gonna go well. But it's fun though.
That's funny that you bring that up because I think we had a call where this woman was
she was giving us a hard time.
She was giving Albert a hard time. But I was muted, but behind that I was kind of like, okay, cool. I'm not the only one, that gets this here. So it was cool to see how Albert handled that there. But in a sense, kind of like how you said, Jason, it felt good, to know that I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but see, I was never taking it personally from whatever she was saying. Like I was just thinking like, I was frustrated with myself because I'm like, how do I get my point across to her so she understands where I'm coming from? That was like the biggest thing. But at the end of the day, you win some, you lose some.
Exactly. Yeah. She wasn't gonna buy regardless, man. She just wanted to give Albert a hard time.
Yeah, which I mean, I didn't even take it as that. It was kind of just like, All right, you're lost, lady.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, so Chase, before we let you go, 3,500 seems like a lot of money in a month to pay for a lead campaign, but how many leads would you say you got roughly within the month?
Roughly about 300. A little over. Yeah.
And it took a little bit of time to ramp up. So you're anticipating.
It took a little bit to ramp up, but within I just looked at it. Within the first 4 days, I already helped 3 families. So I mean, it's my goal is to make it back the first week, and then everything beyond that's just great, But I actually just talked to Andrew earlier today. I'm looking to up it a little bit. So
Nice.
get up to, because I gotta get that Kobe goal,
Let's go.
At 24 families.
Let's go.
So definitively 3,500 to make what you're making worth it or not worth it for everyone out there watching.
100% worth it. Without a doubt. And with it, I did spend more. I would just be 100% transparent. I did have to spend extra costs to get licensed in several other states. So that is something you got to think about, but that's only going to happen once. Right. So I did have to buy several state licenses. So be prepared for that.
But it opens up more opportunities for you. It's awesome.
More families to help.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, appreciate you spending some time with us and sharing your experience so far. We'll see you on Live Dallas. All right. My man Victor, getting back to you. So how long were you in insurance prior to coming to FFL?
So I've been in the game for 8 years now. I started in 2015.
How'd you first get into it?
My sister spoke to me about it. She was working at Forever 21 as a manager. Somebody approached her. She went to an interview, came home, told me about it. I was working as a cook at the time. And I was also going to school, Pasadena City College. And I was already kind of tired of working these long shifts as a cook, making I think at that time, $11 an hour. Wasn't much. So she talked to me about this opportunity, and I told her, yeah, I'll take a look into it. They called me. I went in for an interview. I'm like, look, I don't know what this is about, but you're saying I could make money. I'm down. Just teach me. So I signed up, and for those that don't know, it took me 3 times to pass my state exam. So I didn't see that success right away, but I was learning within that time frame of what's insurance, and it started opening my mind and my eyes, and I was like, okay, people could benefit from this, because where I live, I would always see people holding signs, can you donate for so-and-so's funeral, etc. So I started learning about that and GoFundMe's, and I'm like, wait, there's a product out there that you could buy, you could pay, and if you die, your family gets, this lump sum of money. So that's when it hit me, and that's when I started taking it more serious.
It's interesting. So on that the first and second time that when you didn't pass, did it ever cross your mind maybe this wasn't meant to be?
No, not at all. So it motivated me to actually pass. So I would. So it's funny because it was my sister and I at the same time. We would go take the exam, and the first time we went, she failed, but my results for whatever reason never came back. They said we had to wait a day. So I was kind of laughing at her. I'm like, man, I passed that exam.
You're bragging already.
Yeah, I was like, man, I did so good. I must have got 100% that they said, yo, we gotta see these results.
This guy broke the system.
Yeah, he broke the system. So,
you got 101%.
Yeah, next day results come back. I had like 30%. She did better than me. Second time we went again, we both failed. I want to say it took us both 3 times. But the reality was I wasn't studying. I was thinking it was something that I could just memorize and, cheat the system. But once I actually put my head down and studied, I passed the exam. But not once did it ever cross my mind. It actually motivated me to pass, because now
you're very committed to doing it.
I was committed. Yeah, because for those that don't know, once you fail, you got to pay. The first one, at least for where I started, the first time it was free. The second time you had to pay out of pocket. So now I'm invested in, and that's the way I looked at it. Like, no, I paid for this already. I gotta get the state license, and forget how much it costs right now. It's what it could do for us. How much money it could produce later on.
Yeah. Well, Victor and I actually we've known each other prior to him starting here, because you were Marlon, long time buddy with Marlon. So I remember we were trying to get you over here,
and
then I was just like, this guy's really committed to his previous company. And I'm like, what's going on?
We're in deep, huh?
Yeah.
So he worked with a company that focused primarily on term, if I'm not mistaken. So how's the difference between working there and here?
It's been a huge difference, and I think I never saw the bigger picture because I was so tied in and so locked in where I was at. In a sense, kind of brainwashed. But as soon as I transitioned here, I started seeing the bigger picture. Like, okay, I'm a broker now. I got more options, because back then where I was at is if I couldn't insure you, that's where it ended. Okay, sorry, Mr. Client, you didn't qualify. But what happens to that client? That client is left out with no coverage. And obviously I don't get paid as well. So it's a lose-lose situation for both of us. Coming here, we have options. If somebody gets declined, that's not a problem. It's a client. Let's see what company could go ahead and approve you now. And what I started realizing as well is that some people have health issues that term is not going to go ahead and approve them for. But let's go ahead and put a program that you can qualify for. So once I started understanding that, I started understanding that, hey, what we do here is great. Options is great. And compensation really does matter.
Has it been more profitable for you so far?
100%. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's why I was kind of like, man, what if I would have joined back then? But I wasn't ready. I feel everything happens for a reason, timing as well.
Yeah. What triggered it for you to finally like, all right, you know what?
Man, that's a great question. So, Marlon had always brought it up to me. I would always brush it off.
I remember.
And it actually came to the point where he didn't bring it up anymore. We would hang out and stuff. And I was a point in my career where I said, look, if I really want to pursue insurance, I have to make a change, because where I'm currently at, I'm stuck. I don't see myself proceeding here. I don't see that momentum. I'm not excited anymore as I used to be. And I really had to just I really looked myself in the mirror and asked myself, what do you want? Do you really want to pursue insurance? Do you see yourself still doing this? And if you do you see it where you're currently at with this company? The answer was no. So I said, okay, Marlon. I reached out to Marlon. He didn't believe me. He's like, oh, you're playing. Stop playing with me. I'm like, no, like I'm really serious this time. What's the steps? What do I need to do? I went over his house. We did everything. And I haven't looked back since. I got that excitement again. I got that, once you start seeing the results and things that it produces, you start dreaming again, in a sense, like, oh, damn, like I just got paid this much. What if I help another family? Things in that nature. And you start seeing like, okay, I could really be one of these top producers, top earners in this company. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Marlon's done tremendously well,
right.
Here. So
yeah.
I kind of knew him from before, from the previous company, or at least I heard of his name. But I remember when he got here, all of a sudden he had a little bit of a slow start. Then all of a sudden things took off for him, because he really committed to himself.
Yeah.
And then was there any point when you're just like, I don't know if that's real, because like, of course they're going to tell you a great story about how much money they're making and how great the growth is.
Not at all. You start seeing their life change, in a sense where it's like, oh, damn, okay, he's doing good. Yep. He's making it happen. And that's what I was able to see, where I was like, all right, nah, like this is actually working for him. And I've been knowing Marlon for a very long time. I know he wouldn't BS me. Right. So it came down to that. And at first my biggest fear was, what are people going to say about me in the other company? What are they going to think about me? Because obviously you have great relationship with these people, but then it comes to a point where it's like, okay, this is about you. This is about your future. You're an adult. They don't pay your bills. Who cares what they say about you? What does John want? What does Victor want? What does Albert want? And what vehicle can get him there? Because the vehicle that we're currently at, or where I was currently at, it wasn't happening. And so in a sense, I was fooling myself, like, oh, this is going to be the year, but there's not really a system in place that's going to help me get to that next level. Right. So that's what came down to my decision, where I said, yo, I'm not getting any younger. I really want to do this. I just got to change the vehicle. I feel like I was in a Ferrari, but I didn't know how to change the gears. Now I feel like I'm in a Honda Civic, but I'm hitting all the gears.
You got the NOS in it.
I got the NOS in there,
So
hitting all the, yeah.
How long did it take from the time that Marlon started recruiting you to when you actually capitulate and be like, all right, yeah, let's do it?
At least 2 years, I think.
I would say 2 years. Yeah, if Marlon's been with FFL maybe 3 years, I would say 2 years.
And I bring that up because I mean, like for anyone that's out there trying to build a business, I think a lot of times we approach certain people and say like, hey, I have a good opportunity, and then that person's just not open to it at that moment. It could be timing,
right?
It could be something, or maybe they think you're full of crap.
Yeah,
and it could be that. But the thing is, consistency over time. If you do it long enough, and plus, I mean, right. the thing is like we need to be humble enough to be like, okay, maybe it's my approach. Maybe I can learn how to do this better. I can present it differently, whatever it may be. So the thing is, don't get discouraged if there's people that you want to bring in to the business. Just get better. Figure out a better way.
Yeah, not just that, but it's also timing, right? It depends if somebody's happy or they're not discontent with their position out at their current location, from work, whether it's 1099 or W2. If they're not unhappy, they're not looking to change, because a new change is going to be uncomfortable, right? But if they just left their job and they're looking for a new career change, that's the right timing then. Right? So you just never know, from the 1 year in to 2 years to 3 years until they finally do switch jobs. That's where the opportunity comes in, because now they know, hey, there's another resource, there's another avenue I can go and I could have Marlon.
Right. Yeah, no. So I would say always keep that relationship. Don't burn that bridge. And just know that they're watching, they're seeing you, they're seeing your life progress. And, when that shift, clicks, that's when you make the move. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, even with me, with Jack been recruiting me for like years. I mean, even so a company before he came to FFL, like he'd been recruiting me, and like not in a real aggressive way, but he just kept saying like, oh, hey, like I would love for you to come check this out and blah, blah, blah. And I was always like, no, I'm good where I'm at. I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then, I always knew that, when I heard Jack was doing well, I'm like, good. I'm happy for Jack, but I don't know. I just feel like I can make my own money wherever I go.
That's where I was at too. Right? Yeah.
Like I'm the one that drives the value. It's an ego thing too.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't until the timing was right. It wasn't until the timing was right. My relationship ran its course on my previous company, and I was like, yeah, it's time to come. And just to further illustrate, I mean, John didn't come over immediately when I came over.
I had to wait for my tenure.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
didn't happen.
Also, at that point, I wasn't like, I need everyone to join me right away. I'm like, I wanted to make sure this thing's legit.
Right.
And now I can legitimately say it's legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But before we get going, because we're running out of time, you got some pretty exciting stuff going on. I saw a picture of you guys at the Wild Card Gym, which is Freddie Roach's gym out in Hollywood. Tell us about what's going on.
Oh man. So we were able to lock in a sponsorship with the fighter that's going to be fighting this Saturday. He's going to be the co-main event. For those that are watching, that are boxing fans, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. It's
Very excited.
Big fight. So a guy that I know, he's the co-main event. He's going to be fighting another popular fighter by the name of Isaac Pitbull Cruz. And the way this happened was I actually met this guy a year ago at a fight through another mutual friend, who he's like a personal trainer and a meal prep guy.
Okay.
But he's very well connected with these fighters. That's who he tailors to. And I met this guy. His name's Giovanni Cabrera. And when I met him, I told him, hey man, you're gonna be a world champion one day, because I had seen his previous fights. And we exchanged information there. Fast forward, he's the co-main event of this fight, and it was just an idea. And I reached out to Marlon. I said, "Hey Marlon, I got this idea here. What do you think?" And Marlon said, "Let's do it." So I reached out to Jesse. Jesse reached out to Gio. Marlon and I we had lunch with Giovanni, and we told him, "Hey, we would like to sponsor you." And Giovanni gave us his number. By number I mean price. Marlon and I, we slept on it for a day. We came back with a counter offer, and he agreed to it. But the vision that I told Marlon, or that we talked about, that Marlon and I saw, was, hey, look, this is a community here, number one. And two, Giovanni himself is very interested in what we do. He wants to be a voice to that boxing community, because a lot of people don't know, but boxers get taken advantage of left and right. All they're told to do is just fight, but nobody ever teaches them about business, money, life insurance. So as we're having lunch with Giovanni, he kind of mentions that. We're like, man, that's actually been something that I've been wanting to advocate on in the sport of boxing. So it's funny that you guys are, now we're sitting down and we're talking about all this here. So just it's doors that are opening. As we were having lunch with Giovanni, there was another fighter there who also represented Mexico in the Olympics, and he said, "Hey man, I got a big fight September 7th too. It's going to be televised." So now we're our foot is in that door where we can sponsor these fighters and become that for boxing, for boxers, that we could be those agents for them that could teach them about insurance, investments, and all those great things.
Well, so the sponsorship obviously helps the fighter who's Giovanni's definitely an up and comer.
Yeah.
He's beaten up that are not just all tin cans.
Yeah.
He's coming up and he's going to become a big name.
Yes, sir.
But so it helps him obviously financially, but what does the sponsorship do for you and you and Marlon's brand?
Oh man, it brings more clientele. It gets exposure to the brand, FFL, excellence, etc. And it, part of the deal that we have with Giovanni is that we're going to do something like this, where we're going to sit down, talk about insurance, the importance of it. So Giovanni he has a certain following as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just more exposure, and it's getting us connected more to these other people. Like, who's to say we can't sit down with Freddie Roach and talk to him about insurance? We met the guy. So that's what it brings to us. And that's the bigger vision there.
It's really exciting
what we have. So yeah, it's definitely exciting, and we're excited to see what it comes with it. Again, just talking to Giovanni, win or lose, this is going to be a relationship, long-term relationship that we're looking to build.
Awesome. So it's bringing awareness to your brand, bringing awareness to your products and services that you guys can provide out to the community. Mm-hmm. It's putting money in his pocket. It's giving him it's increasing his platform when he gets a chance to share this with his people, the people that follow him. And if people are watching the fight this Saturday,
you're going to see the logo there.
Where should they be looking?
Left side, right above the Mexican flag. You'll see the logo there, Family First Life, excellence on there. So awesome. It's definitely exciting. Just talking to Marlon, win, lose, whatever happens Saturday night, nobody could ever take this away from us, because this is something that we did on our own, in a sense where, like, we can say, hey, we sponsored this kid at this moment, and let's say he does win, we'll see what comes with that as well. Awesome. So it's definitely exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Pitbull's tough.
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough.
It's gonna be a good fight. So tune in, everybody. Watch out for
Giovanni,
Victor, and Marlon's logo.
Yeah, and that's for everybody. That's to represent Family First Life as well. I don't think anybody has ever done that. Like put an insurance business. Maybe car insurance, but an actual insurance agency. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Smart, man.
Yeah. So
real quick before we let you go, if there's any agents out there struggling, what advice would you give them?
Keep going. Keep dialing, keep working. Just know that it's like thinking, what's that? You're 3 feet from gold. You got to just go through that dirt and you're gonna hit gold. And just know that all it takes is 1-2 clients to change and to give you that momentum. But also that momentum is built by you dialing. If you're not dialing or doing anything, you're not building any type of momentum. And the loudest person in your voice is your own thoughts. So you're gonna start doubting yourself, beating yourself down. But if you're making calls, in a sense, you got to get excited about the people that don't answer, the people that hang up on you, because you're 3 feet from gold. That's the way you got to look at it.
And lastly, aside from money, Victor, what do you do this for?
What I do this for?
Aside from money.
Oh, legacy, man. Legacy, building that generation, leaving something behind, because the way I view life is temporary. We're not here forever, but if you could leave something behind that could carry your last name for forever, that's what excites me, and that's what drives me.
Awesome. Cool. Well, appreciate all the information. We'll definitely have to have you back on again.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We'll all be rooting for Gio this weekend.
Right.
Just want to thank Luis for coming on and sharing. I want to thank Jason. Thank you, John. Thank you to our special guest, Victor Rodriguez. And thank you to Bryce for engineering. Most importantly, thank all of you guys for hopping on. I hope this was helpful. I know I learned a lot. So let's go out there and continue to be elite, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Have a good one.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys once again for supporting. If you guys want to see more of that, please make sure you like, subscribe, click on this link here to subscribe. click on this link for the next video.